Hey there, I'm Donald, pushing 68, retired accountant, living the good life here in suburban Chicago. Got a nice place, if I do say so myself. You should see my garden. It's the envy of the neighborhood. Every Tuesday and Thursday, rain or shine, I'm out on the golf course with my buddies. We're not exactly PGA material, but we have a blast. Been at it for years now, ever since I hung up my calculator. Life's pretty sweet, except for this darn ticker of mine. About 5 years ago, the doc told me I had a heart condition. Nothing too scary, just need to take these pills every day to keep things running smooth. Now let me tell you about my pride and joy, my son, Michael. He's 42, sharp as a tack, a hotshot lawyer downtown. Then there's his wife, Vanessa, 38, a pharmacist, smart cookie that one. But the real stars? My grandkids, Emma and Tyler. Emma's 12 going on 30, just as sharp as her dad. And Tyler, well, he's 9, pure energy and smiles. Those kids are my world. Have you thought about downsizing? Vanessa asked me the other day, trying to sound casual. This big house must be a lot of work. I chuckled. Oh, I manage just fine. Besides, where would we have these family dinners if I moved into some tiny apartment? Vanessa forced a smile, but I caught something in her eyes. Frustration, maybe even annoyance. I couldn't quite figure it out. As they were leaving, Michael hung back. Dad, you know you don't have to keep spending money on us, right? We're doing fine. I patted his shoulder. I know, son, but it makes me happy. Your mom would have wanted us to stay close like this. He nodded, a bit misty-eyed. Thanks, Dad. See you next week. But as I watched them drive away, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off with Vanessa. Maybe I was just being paranoid, but still, it gnawed at me. Lately, I've been feeling off, just tired all the time. I even got winded walking up the stairs the other day. Crazy, right? I mean, I'm no spring chicken, but I've always been pretty spry. You all right there, Donald? Frank, my golf buddy, asked as I leaned on my club, trying to catch my breath. Yeah. Just allergies, I lied. Well, it wasn't allergies. I knew something was wrong. The weeks went by, and I felt worse. My golf game was shot. I couldn't even finish a full round. Maybe we should call it a day, Don, Frank suggested after I nearly toppled over trying to tee off. Nonsense, I wheezed. Just give me a minute. But back home, I overheard Emma on the phone. She sounded upset. Dad, I'm telling you, I heard Mom talking about Grandpa's inheritance. She said something about speeding things up. What does that mean? My blood ran cold. Surely she misunderstood. At the next family dinner, everything came to a head. I was in the kitchen chopping vegetables when suddenly the room started to spin. Grandpa. Tyler's voice sounded distant. Grandpa, you don't look so good. I tried to answer, but my chest felt like it was in a vice. The floor rushed up to meet me, and then, nothing. I woke up in a hospital, tubes and wires everywhere. Michael sat by my side, looking worried. Dad, thank God. You gave us quite a scare. The doctor came in, frowning at my chart. Mr. Thompson, your test results are puzzling. You should be responding well to your medication. My heart function is severely compromised, the doctor said, a grim tone in his voice. I glanced over at Vanessa, who shifted uncomfortably in the corner. Something about her unease made me suspicious, but I brushed it off for the moment. Later, when we were alone, Emma quietly crept into my room. Grandpa, I need to tell you something. It's about Mom. Her voice was barely a whisper. My heart pounded as she recounted the phone call she'd overheard. Vanessa had been talking about speeding things up, about my inheritance. My mind raced. Could it be possible? My own daughter-in-law. When Michael returned, Emma pleaded with him. Dad, please listen to me. I know what I heard. Mom was talking about Grandpa's money. Michael's face darkened, and his voice turned stern. Emma, that's enough. Your mother would never do anything to hurt Grandpa. She's been nothing but helpful, managing his medications and everything. A chill ran down my spine. Since when has she been managing my meds? I croaked, trying to piece everything together. I think we need to talk, I started, but Michael was already ushering Emma out of the room. Get some rest, Dad. We'll sort this out once you're feeling better. As the door closed behind them, I was left alone with my thoughts and an overwhelming sense of dread. What the hell was going on in my family? And more importantly, what was happening to me? A few days later, Frank, my old friend and retired detective, showed up at the hospital. He had that look in his eye, the one he used to get when something didn't add up. Don, something's off here, he said, eyeing my medication bottles. Mind if I take a closer look? Too weak to argue, I nodded. Frank examined the pills, his frown deepening. These don't look right, Don. I've got a buddy at the lab. Let me run some tests. Meanwhile, Emma and Tyler were on their own mission. Determined to find answers, they snuck into their parents' home office. Tyler, keep watch, Emma whispered as she rifled through the drawers. Emma, look, Tyler pointed to a locked cabinet. With trembling hands, Emma picked the lock, a skill she picked up from YouTube of all places. Inside, they found a journal. Oh my God, Emma gasped, reading the entries. What? What's Mom been doing? Tyler asked, eyes wide with fear. Emma couldn't bring herself to say it. The journal detailed Vanessa's plan to speed up my death to secure the inheritance. Back at the hospital, Frank returned with grim news. Don, these aren't your heart meds. They're sugar pills. My world shattered. Are you sure? I asked, barely able to speak. Frank nodded solemnly. We need to tell Michael. When Michael arrived, he was skeptical at first. Dad, this is crazy. Vanessa would never. But as Frank laid out the evidence, even Michael couldn't deny it. His face crumbled with realization. What do we do? He asked, his voice breaking. Frank leaned in, his old detective instincts kicking in. We set a trap. Hidden cameras in your house. Catch her in the act. Reluctantly, Michael agreed. The next day, I was discharged from a hospital. Vanessa insisted on staying to help me settle in, playing the concerned daughter-in-law. But as soon as she thought I was asleep, she made her move. The hidden cameras caught everything, her swapping my pills, making hushed phone calls about speeding things up. When confronted with the evidence, Vanessa crumbled. You don't understand, she sobbed. We're drowning in debt. Michael's firm is failing. Your influence over the kids, the constant family dinners. I just wanted. Wanted what? I demanded, my voice shaking with anger and betrayal. To kill me? No, she cried. I didn't think it wasn't supposed to go this far. I just wanted you out of the picture. The inheritance. Michael stood there, pale and trembling. Vanessa, how could you? He asked, his voice hollow. I did it for us, for our future, she pleaded, but Michael was already backing away. Disgust written all over his face. I felt sick to my core. This woman I had welcomed into my family had been poisoning me. All for money, for some twisted idea of independence. Get out, I said, my voice low and dangerous. Get out of my house, and stay away from my family. Vanessa tried to plead, tried to explain. Frank was already escorting Vanessa out. As the door closed behind her, I sank into my chair, feeling every one of my 68 years. Michael knelt beside me, tears in his eyes. Dad, I'm so sorry. I should have listened to Emma. I should have. I patted his hand. It's not your fault, son. We were all fooled. But as I sat there, surrounded by the remnants of my shattered trusts, I knew things would never be the same. The betrayal cut deep, leaving wounds that would take a long time to heal. The days following Vanessa's confession were a blur. Michael was a wreck, torn between disbelief and rage. I'll never forget the day he came to me, his eyes red from crying. Dad, I'm filing for divorce. I'm going for full custody of the kids. I nodded, relief washing over me. You're doing the right thing, son. Michael hesitated. The police want to know if you're pressing charges. I thought about Emma and Tyler and how this scandal would affect them. No, I won't press charges. The kids have been through enough. Michael squeezed my hand. Thanks, Dad. A week later, Frank dropped by with news. An anonymous tip led to an investigation at Vanessa's pharmacy. They've revoked her license. I raised an eyebrow. Anonymous, huh? Frank just winked. My recovery was slow, but I had my family. Michael and the kids moved in, filling the house with life again. Emma became my little nurse, always checking on me. As the months passed, Michael threw himself into being a single dad, and I watched my grandkids grow stronger and more resilient with each day. Then my 70th birthday rolled around. I woke up to the smell of bacon and the sound of whispered giggles. Surprise! Emma and Tyler burst into my room, followed by Michael, who was carrying a tray laden with breakfast. Happy birthday, Dad, Michael said, grinning. Later that day, friends and family filled the house. Frank was there, along with members of my support group. As I looked around at all the smiling faces, I felt a warmth in my chest that had nothing to do with medication. Emma tugged at my sleeve. "Make a wish, Grandpa." I closed my eyes, the candles flickering before me. What could I possibly wish for? I had my health back, I had my family, I had purpose. I blew out the candles to a chorus of cheers. "What did you wish for?" Tyler asked eagerly. I ruffled his hair. "Can't tell you, sport. But I can say this. Sometimes the worst betrayals lead to the best beginnings." As the party went on around me, I sat back in my chair, content. Life had thrown me a curveball, no doubt, but here I was surrounded by love, stronger than ever. Who says you can't teach an old dog new tricks? At 70, I was just getting started. The story of Donald's betrayal and triumph has come to an end. Now, I have a question for you. If you were in Donald's shoes, would you have pressed charges against Vanessa? Or do you agree with his decision to protect his grandchildren from further trauma? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective matters and could help others facing similar situations.